Usually the first, like, 3 minutes we end up cutting out anyway, because this is, like, the warm-up time.
Okay, because I'm like, what the fuck?
You're like, what are we even doing right now? Yeah, how do you feel about the entire situation having arrived at setting this up? What are your current thoughts?
My current
on the
thoughts
production?
are I'm already stressed. So.
Yeah, let's talk about that. And then we won't use it. Is this what it's like when you do interviews on the street in New York? Like, there's all this, like, chaos going on? And
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like when I do the interviews, it's on the weekends, and so it's even crazier out here.
Okay.
And so I, like, feed off of that crazy energy as well and just, like, chase people down.
Yeah.
I sound kind of crazy, but
Sure.
literally just find people, like, running around the streets or, like, bar hopping, whatever, and see if they're, you know, open to talking about dating situations in New York.
This is going to feel less like an interview the more we get into it, but I'm just starting
I
that
know,
way
no,
because it's easier.
It's fine.
Do you think, okay, this is like the most interview type question that I can ask probably, but do you think you've always been this way where like the chaos kind of revs you up, or is this
For
like,
sure.
okay.
For sure. I mean, I literally moved from LA because there was not enough chaos.
What do you think the biggest difference in like the social experience is between New York and LA?
I think, well, number one, LA is obviously very spread out. So it's harder to get from place to place. It's harder to like see people on a regular basis versus New York is so, like, you can walk 2 blocks and see your best friends. So I think that's really different. And then number two, just like the mentality and like the chaos and the energy there. Like LA is very laid back. People aren't in a rush to do anything. They're not really in a rush to get anything done. Like work isn't really a priority there versus here. Everyone's like motivated. Everyone's like driving towards something, and it's just more energetic, and it makes you feel more energetic and wanting to do things.
I don't even know if my experience of New York is the same, but I do live in Hoboken, so I'm like, I don't even know if
that's
I'm
not New
qualified to
York.
talk about this. Like, I'm in New York all the time, but maybe I just don't know New York as well as I think I do.
But I also just feel like New York in general, there's always something going on. Like when you go outside, like there's always, like the restaurants are always crowded, like people are always out versus LA, like people really were only out on the weekends. I just feel like everyone's like always doing something here. Like always working towards something, whether it be a side gig like podcasting or, you know, a corporate job.
So maybe side hustles are more common here.
Yes.
And for some people, their whole life is their side hustle.
Yes.
I'm like,
and I feel like that's maybe what you like experienced.
Yeah. Everyone's got, I know like a ton of musicians now, and I mean, for some of them it's a side hustle, for some of them it's like a side hustle that has become their main thing. Yeah. Maybe that's super common. Okay, we're going to talk about this specific location that we're in a little bit, because I know when we, not this restaurant, and the cameras don't quite pick it up, so we don't have to talk about them directly. No, but when we met, we were talking about you do a lot of your content off of being out for dinner with your friends. Like you have like your favorite place that you're always sitting outside, which is more of a restaurant vibe, not like the bar scene, because we're near Due West, Wilfie and Nell, the Spaniard, which I kind of want to talk about directly at some point. Okay. So do you think, like, are you getting a mix of all of that generally? Because it sounded like you were saying most of your weekends are like go out for dinner with your friends and kind of like roam the streets after that. I don't know you that well, but that's my impression of your weekend.
I'm just roaming the streets. You never know where you're going to find me.
Roam the streets with your camera and just like, here, say something interesting.
Honestly, you just got to feel, again, the energy.
Sure.
Wherever I find the energy, I'm like, all right, this is going to work. No, I've had a lot of success recently doing dinner and drinks like outside on the patio. Obviously it's summer now, so like you can sit outside. So
and most weeks it's not raining. Exactly.
And so just kind of sitting, chilling out there and waiting for people to pass by that I can like bug to do an interview. I'll like, you're looking at me
I'm
weird.
looking at you because I'm not seeing a red light on there anymore.
Oh, did it die?
Okay, now it's back.
How much of that?
I don't know. That's fine. This is all the warm up anyway. It's certainly on now, so we'll just continue and see what happens.
Okay.
If any of that stuff is like amazing, then this mic will have picked up some fraction of it. Okay. Or it'll just be what I said.
We'll probably like fuck you.
This is my way of being like, I only care what I say because I like hearing myself talk, as you probably can tell having met me twice. So this is how I do it. I just am like, oh, your mic didn't work. We can actually only hear me.
Oh, okay, that's honestly fine.
All right, tell me about finding the energy on the street. Like, how do you decide what to do on a given weekend?
I mean, I honestly, I don't really go out with the, like, goal. I mean, yeah, I guess sometimes I do go out with the goal of being like, oh, we'll be able to do some interviews today, especially if we're outside. But just try and pick, like, a lively street, lively restaurant.
Like this one?
Like this one, when it's not raining. Just something along the lines of, like, being outside, like, on a street that's busy with people, which usually...
They just put the lights on for us, too.
Oh, how nice of them.
Yeah. Just, like, seeing where the activity is, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Just follow the crowd.
I mean, West Village, Soho,
yeah.
Any of the main areas, I feel like there's always a bunch of people running around, especially when the weather's nice, so I just usually take that as, like, there's going to be people out, and I will just... I mean, I initially go out with the initiative to just, like, go out and have fun with my friends, and then... once I have a couple drinks in me, it's like, oh, this group looks fun. Like, I feel like we could interview him or interview this couple or whatever it is, kind of see what unfolds.
I feel like guys don't understand why girls go out. Like, because guys go out with the intention of meeting someone, but they never admit it, generally. They don't say that's what they're doing. Because it's easier to just be like, oh, I wasn't even trying, so who cares? I didn't find a girl, but I wasn't even... I was just out having fun with my boys, so, like, who cares? No. And I feel like for girls, like the motives for a weekend are kind of like everything. There isn't like a specific reason to go out. You're just going out to go out and whatever happens. And I guess part of that is because it's like such a societal norm that guys approach girls first. So like it wouldn't even really make sense as much for girls to be like, I'm going to go out to meet a guy because like the guys kind of have to be the initiators anyway.
Yeah, well, and the guys that we're meeting out half the time aren't even like worth our time, so
yeah.
We've been disappointed enough, so now I'm just like, that's not my initiative when I go out. My goal is to go eat, socialize with my friends, and like, yeah, if someone comes across that's cool enough to talk to, I'm down. But
once in a while you'll put a handwritten note under someone's door.
I have done that. I have made the first move.
Do you want to talk about that? And then we can decide if we use it or not?
Yeah. So essentially, I had this neighbor. He does not live there anymore.
Okay.
But I'd seen him a few times. We live on the same floor. We'd like run into each other in the elevator, and like obviously thought he was attractive. And he'd always comment on like my dog. Like we'd always have a little small talk. We'd never really exchange like names or anything.
Sure.
And then one night, I got pretty intoxicated and I came home and was like, you know what, I'm just gonna write a note to him and see what happens and slide it under his door. And so I slid it under his door, and then he reached out the next day. We texted for a little bit. It was like, oh yeah, we'll have to go out sometime, but then we never did, and I think he has a girlfriend.
Did he at the time, do you think?
I think he was dating someone.
Okay.
But it wasn't like official, and then I think it became official.
Do you have a picture of the note? Not that I want to see it now, but...
I can tell you what it said. I don't have a picture of it, honestly. It was like, hey, this is Carly, your neighbor with the cute dog, Brady. Text me sometime. I didn't left my phone number. It was like pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But I just referred to my dog because I knew he knew who my dog was.
Okay.
I was definitely expecting like a date out of it, and I think he might have thought it could have been something more casual. So.
Okay. Like, text me if you want to come over. Like,
yeah. I got both vibes from him at first, but ultimately it led to nothing, which is for the best.
Sure.
I don't think we need to be dating anyone in our apartment building.
No, I think...
Have you?
No. I think, certainly in close... Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's be as vague as possible. Nearby, but not in my building.
Yeah.
Which I think is for the best, yeah.
Totally.
Because, like, you just... I mean, run-ins are happening regardless. Like, I feel like I've run into everyone that I've ever met, basically, because New York is so small, even though I'm from New Jersey. I still feel like I run into everybody in New York all the time. And especially because I spend probably 70% of my nights out at one of these, like, 4 bars within 2 blocks of here. So, yeah, I'm always running into people. But if they lived in my building, it would be worse.
Yeah, I don't recommend. I actually talked to someone else that lived in my building as well, but we never really ran into each other unless we planned it. So, big building, I guess. I don't know, but I'm over the apartment building escapade. So
until like the next
until like another round of trips on Philip.
It is funny though. The thing that you said about like he would always comment on your dog is like such an important lesson for guys. The amount of people that just go throughout their day and don't say hi to anyone.
Yeah.
Like, because that, you probably got the impression this was a social person just from him, like, making small talk.
Oh, yeah, he was very outspoken. Like, every time I ran into him, it was like, his life story was happening here in the elevator.
Oh, he was an oversharer.
Not really an oversharer, but definitely very enthusiastic, and like he definitely knew how to pick up girls.
Okay. Which is interesting because I feel like most guys would think it would be a bad thing to be seen that way.
Yeah. I thought it was attractive at first, and then after the whole note situation, I was like, wait, this guy's kind of annoying.
But like, it got your attention.
It did get my attention, yeah, for sure.
And then he would have needed to have been a real person afterwards.
Yeah.
Because the hard thing is, like, the best thing a guy could be is to seem like he interacts with girls all the time, but then can like actually be authentic and real and not just be only that.
True. As long as they're not like cocky about it, because I think some guys can come across as, oh, I can get any girl I want.
Don't ever say that. Yeah, like don't to the people. Don't brag about how many girls you can get. Yeah, there's probably no context that's ever worked, but it would be good to seem like you could without saying it.
Obviously, confidence is huge. Mm-hmm. That's like an attractive quality coming from a girl. Like when there's a confident guy, I think that's very attractive. But there's like a very fine line. Too confident.
Yeah, I feel like without intentionally doing this
do you want me to
so
look
far,
at the camera?
No, I just tend to do this. I'm like
trying to avoid the camera.
Yeah, avoid it. I'll just block it.
No.
I'll just put my hand in front of that the whole time. No, I feel like accidentally what I'm doing is like, all right, if you want a girl like this is how you should act. Like that's what the episode is.
Okay.
No, we can pivot from that.
Here's what not to do.
Here's what not to do. Here's what to do, and then I might slide a note under your door.
Okay.
No, I feel like almost any girl you know probably knows this without even ever having talked about it. You just like feel that instinctively. It's like, why does he need to tell me about it?
Yeah.
Be it, but don't talk about it ever.
Right.
Qualifying yourself to someone is always unattractive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the worst one, talking about how often you go to the gym and like I can bench that, like, oh my god, it's just...
Oh yeah, no, don't.
What's like your worst one of those? Like, what's the worst thing a guy can brag about, or are they just all bad?
Oh god, I don't really mind the gym thing because like I like going to the gym, so like I'm for that. But I don't need to hear how much you bench. Or
just
like
say that you go. But
yeah,
not
just say
you
that you
there.
go. I don't need to hear like, oh, I did legs Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I did arms yesterday. Like I don't care about that.
What's happening internally to you though when you hear that? That's like, what's the psychology? Because like it's easy to just for someone to hear that and be like, okay, I hear you. Like I won't do it. But why?
I just don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think that's cool. Like,
sure.
I don't want to. You can brag about that kind of stuff with your friends. Like, that's not something that's going to benefit. I don't know. This just doesn't matter to me.
I'll tell you the way I see it. Tell me if this like makes sense to you.
Give me an example.
Okay. All of the stuff that guys think that like mainstream dating advice says to guys that they should do to make them more attractive, like go to the gym a lot, meditate, get a better job, make more money, dress better, all of those things. Those are things that are good to do, but you're not going to be attracted to someone because of that. Like, the attraction is based on, primarily at least, how you carry yourself and like the way you interact, your banter, or can like someone make you laugh. And then all that stuff is a bonus, but like leading with that is the problem.
Totally. I don't think a guy needs to, if he feels like he needs to lead with that, and like the first thing he's saying when he approaches me at the bar is, hey, I go to the gym like 5 days a week and I eat all this protein and like I
eat all this protein. I take creatine twice a day. 3 times sometimes if I'm feeling, no,
that's not attractive. I just want to I do want to see those aspects in their life, and like if we're texting and he's kind of dropping in there like, oh, I'm on my way to the gym, or I ran 5 miles today, like that's hot. But I don't need you to like approach me at the bar and be like your opening line to me, telling me about how athletic you are and how well you eat and how successful you are in your career. Maybe the career thing is good to know.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like personally I've run into a lot of friction with this because my careers, like both current and past tense, have been so strange. Like currently this, I guess, is my career.
Yeah.
This, what we're doing right now. And before that, it was betting on sports for a living, which is also very unusual. So I feel like the only times it would go well, like there's a clear difference. This is why I think this about leading with it versus being found out by accident, is because if a friend, especially a female friend, started bragging about how I was really good at something, that would always play well. Like it always improved the situation. Obviously there's a lot of other factors, but like it would always at least keep it the same or usually make it better if someone else is like saying it on my behalf. But if I have to start like justifying myself, like if I let myself get into that mode where I'm like trying to say no, like I don't have a real job, but like I make a lot of money, it's fine. Once you're there, it's like you're screwed.
Yeah, the right person won't make you like justify all that information. Like I think what's attractive about a guy is him being motivated or passionate about something. Obviously, like having himself established and having money coming in different ways is great. But if the right girl or if someone starts like drilling you, like, oh, you haven't had a real job in how many years? Like, I don't know. That's just weird on them, honestly.
I do find the right person won't make you think to be really interesting. I feel like that's like I feel like the most interesting thing for us to talk about, like in all contexts.
Yeah.
So I think basically what I'm getting at is like the right person will do X, Y, and Z. Like that meme is like, it's true. Like someone who's going to start like making fun of you or like being very hypercritical and closed-minded, okay, like that's not the right person for you.
Totally.
But someone could be acting like that just because you haven't presented yourself properly. Like, I'm sure there are situations where you've done that because the way the guy is explaining his life just, like, makes you uncomfortable, so you're challenging him more because you're like, fuck this, I don't like this energy.
Yeah.
But, like, in a different context, that same guy who maybe has had a better week and is in a better mood and just, like, feels better about himself is presenting the stuff in a way that's more fun and engaging, and then you might react to it completely different. So, like, I think it's way more on the guy to share stuff about himself in a way that's fun and interesting and like low stakes and non-needy and just like being more casual about it. Because we're talking about situations where you've known someone less than 5 minutes.
Yeah. They shouldn't be putting too much pressure on themselves. Like, girls can feel it when you're like forcing yourself to speak a certain way or say a certain thing. That's unattractive.
Yeah. I do feel like girls are running like this is, I found myself much more recently like saying how much dumber guys are than girls, and part of it is because
I love that.
It's like, exactly, for that reaction, that's why I'm saying it. That's part of it. Because I get positive, oh my god, what a self-aware guy. Yeah. He's amazing. But I think I've just like realized it. I think it's just true. You're running some like complicated algorithm in your head of like this behavior, and it's all happening subconsciously.
Yeah.
When you get, like when the ick happens, it's like a whole combination, like there's a whole confluence of events that triggered that, and it's like,
no, it's usually like one event.
Okay, but I think that's I get that it would seem that way, but maybe the ick is different. I'll say it a different way. I feel like whether or not you're into someone that you've only known a few minutes or a couple hours or whatever is based on like this very rapid fire, like, okay, this behavior, this behavior, this behavior, this behavior, the friends that are around him, who's in his group, like all of that. I'm just like very quickly just aggregating all of this, and then I'm getting like a snap decision, like, is this guy cool or not?
That's like a vibe.
And girls can do it with like very high precision. The guesses are pretty solid. The best guess is usually pretty right, whereas guys have like no capacity for that.
Really? That's so interesting, because I've always heard that guys like know that they're in love with someone after like a few dates, or they kind of know like how they're gonna feel about this girl, like what their intent is with this girl for, you know, the long run, versus girls take a little bit longer to warm up or make a decision or kind of get that feeling.
So we're on two different timelines, because I sort of mean like in the first 20 minutes, let's say, because you might be right about the multiple dates thing. I think a guy will know immediately, like, does he want to sleep with you or not?
Yeah.
But he doesn't know, he's not getting a sense of anything else. Yeah. Generally.
I just shifted gears really hard. Yeah,
you did. That's perfect. Hard segues are a theme of this podcast. I don't know. I guess I haven't really thought about that much. Like, do guys know? And that probably is like a question that is most prevalent for girls. Like, okay, I've gone out with this guy 3 times. I can't tell how much he's into this.
Yeah. I mean, I don't expect a guy to know something about like how he feels about me after 3 dates, but
you're saying you think that they generally do know.
Yeah, like guys are known. I've asked this during interviews and stuff too. Like, when did you know she was the one, or like when were you confident you were gonna like ask her to be your girlfriend? And they're like, after the second date, they're pretty confident that like this is gonna be a long-term thing or not.
From personal experience, I can say sometimes yes, I know very quickly, and sometimes I have no idea. Okay. Like I've been on the fence genuinely, but it also is like how much time did you spend with the person? Because if you just get drinks or dinner with someone for 3 hours each date, like
that's not a lot.
And also if the settings are all the same. Like if you hang out with someone 3 times, but they're in 3 completely different contexts. Like one time you went for drinks, one time you were like in a group hangout with all their friends, and then like one time you went to a show or whatever, and you like different stuff together. Then like you have a better understanding of what they're like. I feel like it just varies a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just curious, like why? If you think there's like a specific reason for that, because I just have no idea.
Well, from my experience and from what I've heard, girls can grow to like someone more and more versus guys typically kind of already know if they like someone or they don't like someone. They're not going to grow to like someone.
Yes. I love this point. This is like when I put like a mental outline, like this you've hit one of the things. Yeah. The mechanism for being attracted to someone is so different for guys and girls. Because for guys, it's almost entirely like physical appearance.
Right.
That's like 75+% of the picture.
Yeah.
And for girls, it's very little. Although they'll like, I do think girls will interpret a lot of other things as physical appearance.
Yeah.
Like posture could just be interpreted as physical appearance. But like you are pinging off of confidence, even like tonality, like the cadence of someone's voice. Can they have a range of expression? Do they have an emotional range? And like, are they funny? You don't necessarily know any of that until you've spent some amount of time.
Right.
And a guy will know the number one thing he's looking for, which is, are you my physical type? Very quickly. So it makes sense then. In terms of like falling in love, that seems like maybe there are guys who will say like, okay, as long as she looks like I want her to look and she's nice to me, like that's it. Like,
are guys like that?
I think that there definitely are some guys where it's like their checklist would essentially be looks like what I want, is nice to me, and makes my life easier. Maybe we'll throw that in there. Like isn't like too much of a headache, and like
they're good.
That doesn't resonate with me fully, but I get it.
Yeah.
Like I get it. But for girls, like their list is much longer.
Oh yeah, like 3 pages.
3 pages? Like what size font? How many items do you think are on the list?
Probably like 100. No, I'm just kidding.
150. But there's probably like 10 or 12 things that are super important.
Yeah, 15.
Okay.
You're
like, I don't want to seem crazy.
I'm just being annoying. No. Yeah, you're right. Like 10 that are, I mean, I have like 10 non-negotiables. I don't actually have a list, but I should.
No, I
mean, I have a mental list.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's probably like 10 to 15 non-negotiables.
That feels pretty standard.
Yeah.
It does. I think that's pretty normal.
And those are definitely some like physical and non-physical.
And I feel like if 7 of the 10 were there, let's say, and it depends which 3 are missing.
Right.
Because you could probably overlook those if the other 7 were like so high.
Yeah, wait, let's X that out.
We're going to X that out? You're like, no, you got to have all of them. I will make no exceptions. Never.
I don't like non-negotiables.
Okay. I don't either. I know that's not what you meant.
I don't mean that.
Okay.
I hate that. I don't want people to think I'm like...
It's a complete deal breaker if you're this.
Yeah.
I have some that I'll say as a joke that I like say are deal breakers, but they're like obviously not deal breakers, and they also change over time. Like I used to think there's no way that I could marry someone who wasn't a diehard Rangers fan.
Yeah.
Or at minimum like really was into sports. Like forget the specific team, but like was a big fan of sports. And now I barely watch sports, and I'm like, I don't care about this anymore.
Yeah.
Like I'm a casual sports fan now. And so like my preferences have completely shifted on that. Like,
totally. Yeah.
But I guess once you're like 30, they're probably not going to shift as much. So
yeah.
But nonetheless, like there are things that you are like, I really want them to be like this or to not be like this, but it's not like a black and white thing.
Right, no.
I just prefer it.
Right, exactly. And I probably have like 10 to 15 things that I'm like, I would love my future husband or whatever to be these 10 to 15 things, but...
And probably most of them are like, have overlap with almost every girl that's ever lived.
Yeah, they're pretty standard.
Yeah. Like be taller than 5'3".
Yeah. Well, I'm 5'9", so you need to be like.
You have a different height requirement. Are you that tall?
Yeah.
Okay. At least 6 foot probably has a strong overlap with most girls too.
At least 6 foot.
At least like 6'4" would be fine.
Yeah.
What's too tall?
I mean like 7 foot. I don't even.
Do you know what a 6'10" guy looks like?
Yeah, that's probably too tall.
Okay.
I don't need that. Like 6'5" is great.
Yeah, 6'5" is the cultural standard.
But I'm good with 6 foot and over.
Yeah. But okay, the stuff that is changeable.
What can guys work on?
Yeah, because there's stuff that like is personality based that like you can do. Like the reason that girls have a harder time determining if a guy is like the right fit for them is because the things that make guys attractive are not stable. Like they change. Like being funny is different day to day, or being confident is different day to day. Like someone could be confident while their job is going well, but then they completely lose their confidence if they get fired. Right. And like you don't know that. Because I think it's so common for a guy to be in a long relationship and get fired and then gets broken up with, like the girl dumps him for that, and they think it's because they lost their job, and it's not. It's because they started acting weird because they didn't have a job. Do you think?
No.
You think it is the job?
I think the right person is going, again, like, it's not really going to matter.
I think you're half right on that. Like, I agree with you to a point. Because you don't... Like, if you're married to someone for 20 years and something like that happens, and, like, you have kids together, like, you're not going to leave you because you lost your job. But, like, if you're 18 months into something and they're still, like, deciding a little on you, and then you, like, you have a huge drop in your confidence that lasts for, like, 1, 2, or 3 months.
Right.
Like, that's different, I feel like. So, I guess, like, there's a scale for it.
Yeah, I mean... Okay, so I'll give you a story.
Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready for oversharing.
My last relationship ended once my ex lost his job.
I didn't know that, so that's just a lucky guess. Okay.
And that wasn't the reason why it ended. Mm-hmm. But I definitely saw things like how he handled himself and how he handled losing a job that didn't align with how I would act or what I would do if I was in that situation.
I just love being right. Continue.
And so I was like, that like lit a fire under my ass to end the relationship faster than I probably would have. But that wasn't the reason.
So you think it wasn't the losing of the job, and it wasn't necessarily the way he handled losing the job. There were other reasons too, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, there was like a
lot of reasons.
There's a lot of reasons. But that definitely like lit a fire under my ass to just be like, all right,
that was like the breaking point.
Yeah.
Right. I don't actually think that people like. I don't think girls dump guys for one reason generally.
Yeah. No.
It's usually a combination of things.
Totally. Yeah. I agree.
It is weird that I don't know the statistics on this. Like this would be like me making it up, but I've like heard people talk about this, that guys are almost never in like modern dating, especially like in cities, are rarely the ones to end relationships now, because there's so much more scarcity for guys. Like girls can get a date more easily than guys can.
Really?
I mean, a date. Girls have higher standards, so So
I was gonna say
I
hear the complete opposite of that.
A date you're happy with is a different conversation.
I think there's way more eligible girls in the city who are willing or ready to date someone seriously versus guys. They're just out there like fucking around, so it's harder for girls to like actually date people worth their time.
Worth their time. When you add that in, I completely agree with you. But there are more, like the average guy has a harder time getting a date than the average girl.
That makes sense.
Because I mean, a lot of them aren't even trying anymore. Like you don't see them out.
Girls aren't either.
Do you think that, like, are there girls that you know or like friends of friends or whatever that have just like removed themselves from there? It's like, this is too exhausting and there's too little guys that meet my stand. Like I'm just gonna work on my career now and not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't personally like sit there and I'm like, I need to find a date this week. Like,
sure.
I barely go on the apps. Like I'm very much just kind of like going with the flow and whatever happens, and that's how most of my single friends are, honestly. Mm-hmm. I think girls can be alone. Like girls know how to be alone. I feel like guys cannot be alone.
Yeah, that's totally fair. The ones who are alone, who are saying they're happy being alone, are not. Generally, they're lying to themselves, There are probably many guys who would consider themselves not to be in that category. They're like, I'm not lonely, I'm just, working on other stuff right now. But they very much are that. They just aren't admitting what's driving them. Right. Like, I know personally, like, I had a breakup in April, and because I've, like, thought about this stuff forever, like, I've been very philosophical my whole life, and I've, like, by talking to other people like this, I've, like, become aware of these things. Like, I know that part of why I'm sad about the breakup is because of her specifically. Like, she was great, and I, like, didn't want it to end.
Yeah.
But the other part is, like, I, like, getting validated was cool. Like, having, like, my ego up here to be able to tell people, like, oh, yeah, I'm dating someone now. I'm doing it. Like, I'm winning. Part of what I'm missing just is that. Like, that was fun. I get to say, like, I'm beating everybody. Even for me, that took a long time to know that about myself. And so, yeah, I look at, like, the average guy, and I'm like, they have no idea what's really going on, and their internal reality is a mystery to themselves, which is a little scary. I know you're like, is it that bad?
Like,
the self-awareness is so low.
Is this what I'm up against when I'm out, like, meeting guys? Like,
yeah, not all of them. I think I would put, like, as a percentage. Should I like nerd out for a sec? Should I do like a statistical breakdown? Sure. Okay. Let's say 60% of guys don't go out at all. Yeah. Like, basically ever. And then so of those remaining 40%, we'll say like a quarter of those. So like 10% total are like awesome and it would be cool to meet them. Which might be optimistic. We would give it 10% of the male population is like solid at least.
I think like, okay.
You were gonna say less or more?
Less.
Okay. It probably is less. It probably is less. But it's not like 0.5%. Like, it's somewhere between 1 and 10%. We'll go there. Okay. We'll get. It's a wide. I know that's like a pretty wide range, but it's something like that. So in that like 30+% of the rest of the guys who are out, but like they're like not doing well. Most of those guys, like, I would say their inner reality is a mystery to them. Like, there's potential for them, but they just don't know what to do yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
They're trying, but like they're using a bunch of alcohol, so they don't have to encounter their feelings.
Yeah.
They like need drinks to go say hi to people. Their confidence is very like variable. They like have huge ebbs and flows, which is why like if you're dating or talking to or whatever one of these guys, you might think they're great, and then on the next date you're like, what's wrong with this person?
Right.
Because they are not stable internally.
100%.
Their value is like going way up and down, and the opposite is never true. Like, girls are in guys' minds are pretty much like, okay, this is what she looks like, this is basically what she is.
Yeah. You don't wake up the next morning and you're like,
It's different if you were drunk when you met. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I'm saying this is I feel like both of us are pretty health conscious, but we still drink, and it's kind of like this, you're trying to toe the line with like having fun and not both harming yourself health-wise and making regrettable decisions. Those two things. We all do it sometimes. I'm not saying, and I do it sometimes, but like, I feel like it is kind of this like tightrope walk of like, how much do I drink and how do I, especially in your 30s, like how do I handle that?
Well, yeah, the hangover is like 10 times worse, so I can't.
What's your hangover remedy at the moment?
Bed rotting? No.
Is that, okay.
Electrolytes.
Yeah.
Usually Uber Eats, something like greasy, probably a bagel.
This is so cliche, but go on, I'm curious. Like, what is these are like the things.
That's I know. Like, I'm very basic, honestly.
Well, I feel like you did. I was not gonna. I feel like you did a TikTok recently where you were taking like probiotic shots. Did I make that up?
Oh, electrolytes. I was chasing my tequila with electrolytes before going out.
Okay.
And I was like, this is 30. Balance.
Doing like saunas and stuff definitely makes that actually possible.
I love the sauna. I agree.
Yeah, we should all be doing it all the time.
But apparently it's like not great for you when you're hungover because you're so dehydrated. But
before the weekend
I don't
starts.
care. I don't care. I still go to the sauna extremely hungover, and I'm like, yes, I feel like I need to then.
It's better than nothing for sure.
Exactly.
I feel like the actual answer is do it Sunday night after you've like gotten your electrolytes and all your water for the whole day of recovery.
I can't wait that long.
You probably don't know about this. I feel like most people in New York don't know about it, that in Hoboken, Sunday is just an additional party day during football season, especially.
That makes sense. I love football, so like I'm down to go out on Sundays, but I usually am like more chill about it. Great spot to meet normal guys too.
Watching football.
Yes. Rather than going out like late night on a Friday or Saturday.
Don't do it in Hoboken though.
I don't go to Hoboken.
Okay. What are we doing here?
You're talking to the wrong girl. I almost refuse to go to Brooklyn.
It's like 2 truths and a lie,
yeah.
and for one of them, I'm pretending to be from Jersey just to see if you're superficial.
Oh, okay.
But like my profile says I live in Hoboken.
Right.
So it's just like we haven't even gotten down to the prompt because Hoboken's already X'd out.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's good.
So,
yeah, this is why I don't use dating apps, or I should move.
Wait, okay, no, I won't X someone out because they live in Hoboken or Jersey, but like they're coming to me for the first like 10 days.
Oh yeah, I've never made someone come from New York to Hoboken for the first. We'll call it 4.
Yeah.
4 is the soonest.
Oh, that's a good rule.
It's called the 3 dates rule. I'm programming that
I
phrase.
thought that was for sex.
No, I'm changing it. That's a stupid rule. We're not having that. It's a dumb rule, so I'm going to use it for this now.
3 dates for long distance relationships and
3 dates. The person who lives in the worst place has to go to the better place.
Well, at least you're admitting you live in the worst place.
We do get a really good view of New York from our side, and New Yorkers have to look at Jersey.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
We're winning on 1 point at least.
All right, we'll give you that.
Okay. So let's talk about the Spaniard.
Oh my God, your favorite place.
Yeah.
I feel like you're gonna have more to say about the Spaniard than I am.
Well, let's talk about like the idea of those bars in general.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we were kind of on this point before of like, and you just reminded me of it with like meet guys on Sundays when they're watching football, unless it's Hoboken because they're all blacked out in Hoboken on Sundays. Like, I don't know how these people even go to work on Monday.
Crazy.
Like, it's more drinking than the rest of the weekend.
I would never have guessed
that. It's like
that.
a holiday.
I would never have guessed that.
But only if it's football season.
That's so funny.
Like, there are lines out down the street at noon at like a couple of the bars for people to just get shit-faced for like 8, 9, 10 hours on Sundays.
I mean, I'm sure people are doing it here. I just don't witness that.
It's just not the norm.
Yeah.
There, it's the norm. But in New York, it's probably, like anyone who's like out on a Sunday is in more of like a chill place where they're not like hammered coming up to you. You can have more of like a regular interaction. I already know kind of what you're going to say about these bars, like young, which we can debate, but like there's this thing of like you're not going to meet your soulmate or your person or the one or whatever at like a crowded bar at night.
Right.
And like I agree with that in general, but that's because I think most people are doing it wrong.
Okay. Why do you think they're doing it wrong?
I think the guys are drinking too much. I mean, some girls drink too much, but I'm more concerned with what guys are doing wrong. And they just are basically trying to like the average guy who's going to come up to you if you're in the Spaniard at, let's call it like 1 a.m. on a Saturday night when you're already sleeping. But let's just say, hypothetically, it's a wild weekend. You were out for someone's birthday dinner, so like it started late, and you're there, whatever. You find yourself there. It's 1 o'clock. The average guy who's going to come up to you is either drunk or is like spam approaching, where he's like saying the same thing to everybody, and you're like, I'm not getting a real person here.
Totally.
I just don't think that you have to do that. Like, guys don't have to be one of those two things. There is another category, but just most of them are that.
Well, especially at 1 a.m. when they've been drinking for 4 or 5 hours. I send myself home at 10 and 11 p.m. because I don't think anything good happens after 11 p.m. I think everyone's wasted. Also, I think it just kind of depends on the type of girl and the type of guy you're looking for. Like, for me, I don't really want to meet a guy who goes out until 2 a.m. 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
I already did
5 nights a week is a lot.
I'm being dramatic, obviously, but
yeah.
I love to drink with my friends and like go out and have a good time, but like it's tiring. Like I get hungover really easily. Like it's not my favorite thing. So like, yeah, I don't personally think I'll meet my guy at the Spaniard at 2 a.m. Maybe at 5 p.m.
Sure.
I think I would meet him at 5 p.m. That is definitely possible, but at 2 a.m. probably not.
Well, I just think the advice for guys and for girls is really different on this, because I think you're right. Like, if you're a girl putting yourself in that environment, like, the percentage of guys that are actually, like, worthy, for lack of a better term, is really low.
Yeah.
But I think the opposite is not the same. Because I think most of the girls that are there are just, like, normal. Like, they're just normal. And they're hopeful that they'll, like, find the one of the 6 guys who's in that bar who's like actually a real person.
It's gonna whisk them away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I do think that's why like girls will show up there at, like as like their last stop when they've already like gone to wherever, and they're like, let me just see what happens. I'll go in there for 45 minutes. Maybe someone cool will come up to me. If not, I'll go home.
Yeah.
And it's like sort of just hoping that'll happen. So as a guy, it's like you can just go find those girls are in there.
Right.
Yeah, I think like to equate the dating advice for guys and girls on like the nightlife, it's such a different experience.
So different, because girls don't, like we talked about before, like girls do not go out with the intent. I'm not speaking for all girls.
Sure. Yes, you are.
But
we're calling on you to tell us how no. Just give us the generalizations from what you know.
A lot of girls, and this definitely varies, because I think in my college days, yeah, we were going out and we're like, who are we gonna meet, like whatever. But nowadays, I'm 31. I'm not going out and I'm like, who am I gonna meet tonight? Mm-hmm. Obviously, sometimes it's like, oh, maybe there's hot guys there, but that's definitely never the intent of why I'm going out.
I do think it's harder for girls to, like, I mean, I'm sure you're like, most of your life now is talking to people about like these subjects, especially you're doing the street interview thing.
Yeah.
So like you're getting a lot of people's experiences.
Totally.
Do you think it's actually true? Like dating is harder for girls than for guys?
Yes, I think it's harder for girls because guys don't always care. Like, there's a lot of guys out there who are like, oh, if I find a relationship, great. If not, like, it's someone to add to the roster. Versus girls, for the most time, are looking for, like, a specific thing and someone with intent and someone who wants to, like, be boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever.
Yeah. I do think more guys than you realize are also looking for that, but those guys are just unattractive for all the other reasons that we've been talking about. So, like, they just don't really count.
That's true. I guess I've done a lot of interviews with guys who are not looking for anything serious, and I get some pretty funny feedback.
Yeah.
They're like, you're not going to find your wife here in New York, but it's fun to have a good time.
I saw that one. Yeah, I really like that one. But that guy was a great example of, like, he has options.
Right.
Like, that's a charismatic guy. So, and I think he's probably younger.
Definitely younger.
Okay. Like, he doesn't need to change his behavior at all. But that's, like, a completely different category of human experience than the guy who can't, like, who's swiping on Hinge and, like, gets one like every week.
Right.
So, yeah, I think dating is the hardest. I would say it's the hardest for, like, the bottom tier of guys who, like, no one will even talk to them. Mm-hmm. Then it's, next hardest is all women.
Okay.
And then the top whatever percentile of guys life is too easy for them.
Right.
Like, it's annoyingly easy for them.
Well, they do say there's, like, this bucket of guys, I don't know what the percentage is, that, like, all the girls are after, essentially.
Yeah.
And, like, if you're not in that bucket of guys, then you're kind of screwed.
The good news is any guy can, and maybe this seems weird to you, but, like, almost any guy is capable of getting himself there.
Let's see it.
That's a great first reaction to it, but, like, what do you think about that? Because you were saying, like, you can warm up to someone.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely think there's things that certain guys can change about themselves to make them more attractive, both physically and emotionally. But yeah,
Does it start with going to therapy? Is that number one? Is that what we're saying is number one?
Sure, if they want to go to therapy, they can go to therapy, but I think there's other ways for them to work on themselves. I'm not like, you have to go to therapy. I'm not that kind of girl.
Good. You're not that. There is that kind of girl, and you're not.
No, there's definitely. Yeah. I have nothing bad to say about therapy, obviously, but
I think therapy is like the gym thing where you don't want to be bragging about how much therapy.
Right. Like, we don't need to talk about it again. No. Anyone who's doing something too much to the point where that's all they're talking about, or that's what they're leading with, like, you're immediately gonna be
Yeah.
I think there's other things you can work on. Therapy is one. Going to the gym, like working out more, like being healthier, like just working on yourself professionally, like in your career. All those things are ways that they can, like, grow, and that they will make them more confident. Or
this is probably my biggest point of disagreement.
Oh my God.
It is.
Yes, let's fight.
Okay. I like everything you said up till now. No, I like this too. It's really good that you're raising this point because I think there are a lot of guys that believe that like more money, the gym, all that, like going to therapy, which I think is probably the most relevant of all of those, and it will make them more confident. And if that were true, you'd be 100% right. I just don't think it makes them more confident. Because then they go out and they like experience what it's like to have like slow banter or to be boring, and they're like, wait, I have all this stuff and no one likes me still.
Damn.
Yeah, and then it's like then they get bitter and misogynistic.
Right.
I feel like that's what creates those guys, is because they're under the impression that making more money, having a six-pack, or lifting more weights or whatever will make them confident. And it makes them confident for a second until they realize, like, when I put this to the test, like, girls don't actually like me more. I mean, if you're, like, really, really physically attractive, you can... There's, like, a small percentage of guys that are so good-looking that none of this really matters, or matters a lot less. But, like...
Eventually it does.
Yeah. Right, you'll get a lot of...
You try and get a conversation with them, and it's like...
You'll have a lot of situationships as a guy who is just really attractive, but no, but no, but the part that they don't think, like, no one tells, like, the mainstream, like, I'll just name drop a few of the podcast people that I think are missing this, like Scott Galloway and Jay Shetty, and I don't want to say bad things about Mel Robbins, but she's one of them, and, like, Chris Williamson and all these people, they don't talk about, like, working on your vibe. Like, be more fun.
Right. Well... That's so funny you say that, because vibe is like the number one thing I look for in someone, and it's like I know within the first 5 seconds of meeting someone if I'm gonna like this person, or if
you're
it's
running
gonna
the girl computer algorithm thing that you guys all have that we don't have.
I don't even know what's running in there, but like I know within 5 seconds if I'm gonna be vibing with someone or if like I'm into them, and I just, how do you change that about someone?
You can't make them change it, but you can change it. I mean, personally, I was extremely shy in high school, and I didn't talk to anybody, and I had, like, a ton of social anxiety, and then for whatever flaws I still have, I don't have that anymore. So, I don't care that people are watching us do a podcast on the street when this would have, like, probably made me throw up on the ground when I was 15 years old. So, like, you can change that.
That's true.
Being, like, nervous around social pressure, right? Like, you can overcome that.
Totally. I agree.
You do the street interviews now, I'm sure, like, there's eyes on you. You're like...
Oh, yeah. No, and I mean, even still, I get a little, like, nervous, like, oh my god, they're gonna think I'm annoying, but honestly, at this point, it's like, whatever. But as a child, I know, my mom always said I was, like, so shy, I would hide behind her at all the birthday parties, like, wouldn't leave her side, and now I'm in sales, and doing, like, interviews on the street. Like, the most outgoing, extroverted activities you could be doing.
No, it's awesome.
So
I would say, like, your experience is like, if a guy is like unconfident, they should just start doing street interviews. Like, that would help so much.
Don't give these guys any ideas.
Why?
I don't need them competing with me.
Right. Oh, you're talking about from a business. Yeah, but then there would be more options for all of you and your friends and everyone you know.
That's true.
If a guy was capable of doing what you do, where they just hold a mic to someone's face, it would make them more interesting at minimum.
Fair. But I don't want them doing that, because that's what I'm doing.
All right, pick a different activity. Let's say, okay, if you're a guy who's like incredibly shy and you tend to like only talk about work on dates or like the gym or cold plunges, which I've stopped as much, less often. Like, go do like an open mic and practice stand up or something. Like, that's so much more important than like doing a couple extra bicep curls. Because if you can like subject yourself to judgment of a crowd and be unfazed, stand-up might be a bad one because I feel like that can go too far.
I don't really like
But okay, improv, whatever. Like, you get better at communicating. It is weird that, like, okay, let's hear it. You pick the thing where, like, it's a vibe-improving activity.
I still don't really know how a guy's going to improve their vibe. I just think you're born with it or you're not.
Yeah. It's this is like the clippable thing, because what you're saying is how I would imagine 99% of girls would react to this, because you don't see it in practice. It happens very infrequently. Like, guys don't generally get better at being charismatic.
Right.
But like, you're not. I think the way that you become charismatic as a guy is it's not. I'm sure it's partly genetic, but it just comes generally from a lot of positive reinforcement. Like, if you talk to the guy you interviewed on the street who is younger, who is like, dating is just, I'm not going to find my wife, whatever.
Yeah.
That guy probably had a lot of female attention in middle school. Right. And there was just a positive feedback loop of like, oh, if I act like an idiot, they like me more, and if I'm just free and myself and I just say silly stuff and I don't care too much, I don't put into, like, that's the male algorithm. It's not as good as the female one, but like and so there's like positive reinforcement on all of that stuff, and then he's a natural.
That's true.
So if the opposite happened, then you end up with the really shy guy, where like someone like told them to shut up when they were 9, and like they went like into a shell, or like they got their friend like made fun of them, haha, you like a girl, and then they never want to express they like a girl for the rest of their lives. Right,
they're still carrying that with them into their 30s or whatever.
I know the way you're saying that, and yes.
I get it. So yeah, I mean, I said myself that I changed, so I do get that they can change, but I think it takes a long time.
I think it generally takes a long time because no one's intentional about it. So what you're saying is definitely the norm, 1,000,000%. Like the average person is not going to change, or they're going to change very slowly. But someone who like understands this can change very quickly, is what I'm saying.
I get that.
Most people don't understand you can even do that.
Yeah, I get that.
You can take a public speaking class. You can talk to the camera a lot and see how you're being received, or you could just go out all the time.
Right.
So like for me, like I think I'm very different conversationally than I was, let's call it even 3 years ago. And the difference is, one is because I go out so much, I speak louder. You have to yell over people. My voice is just louder. Like there's no question.
I'm glad going out is helping you with your voice execution.
It's making me better at podcasting, like 100%. It's I was quiet, but like you're not going to get anyone's attention.
No.
I do think if a girl has to say what to you when you're in a bar more than, let's call it, twice, they're done. Does that have you heard that before?
No, because I say what all the time because I feel like my hearing is really bad. So I'm a bad example. Yeah, I'll give them a few
times. You're one of the good ones.
Yeah, I'm a bad example.
More lenient on this than most people would be. But speaking loudly definitely helps.
Not too loudly though, because then I'm like, you're annoying.
Okay. Because your hearing is okay. No, but like if you go out enough, then things that tend to get you good feedback, you'll just start doing them more. Like I think most guys just don't subject themselves to like actual feedback enough. Like if you go on a lot of dates, it kind of can work. Like you know what, like if you're paying attention, you'd be like, oh, I talked about that thing on that date, and then she kind of like her eyes glazed over, and I maybe shouldn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
But I think it's just much quicker feedback in a bar. Because you can talk to, on a date, you're talking to one person for an hour or two or whatever. In a bar, you can talk to one person every 5 minutes for a night.
Wow, you're speedy.
Part of the reason I'm doing it is because I like the feedback, and then it changes the, like I know which stories about myself to never say ever again, and which ones are like the good ones, and which ones are the like, no,
wow.
That's a, yeah.
Is this how a lot of guys think when they're going out? They're like,
they should. The thing is, I went through a phase where I cared about like the conscious application of these things initially, and now they're kind of like internalized, and I don't think about them anymore. So I'm not like out as like a experiment for myself. There's probably 5% of my brain that's doing that.
Yeah.
Maybe 10. We'll cut it off at 10. But for a while it was like 50. I think, guys are doing that 0%. 5% to 10% I think is the right amount. Like you want to be calibrating a bit.
Right.
50% was crazy, but that was like a phase to like figure out how to,
to get you where you're at.
I was locked in my house for COVID and then I was sick, and then I just like was gambling, and then there were a lot of factors that made it so I didn't go out for 3 years. So like when I started going out again, I was like, all right, let me pay attention more. I was like in a revving back up to being a normal person phase.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I think that 5-10% of like actually paying attention to it, when I tend to talk about this, and this, I tend to get this reaction. And when I talk about, or not even what you're talking about, just like the way you react to like something someone else says. Like if a girl says something and you're like, oh, me too, all the time, if you're just like agreeing, they are like, at some point they're gonna be like, why does he?
No, guys need to ask questions. That is literally like the number one feedback that I get from my friends, like single girls that I know, is like, guys don't ask questions.
Do you mean specifically like follow-up questions? That feels more almost like the most important kind.
Any question.
Okay.
Just a question in
general. Are guys
general.
really not asking questions?
No, they're like waiting for you to ask the question.
But I feel like a lot of the time it's like, what's your name? Where are you from? How many siblings do you have? Blah, blah, blah. Not those.
Not those.
Okay.
I'm talking like...
What do you do? Let's not even do that.
Just like, even when you're... All right, maybe you've gone on a date or two, and you're like, they're trying to text you, and they just don't ask questions. They just like tell you what they're doing or like tell you random things. And you're like, I don't give a fuck.
I'm 100% with you in that context. Let's do like in the first 30 minutes you meet someone out though.
Yeah.
Restaurant, bar,
okay, whatever. It's so different.
Yeah, like
depends how much we've been drinking.
Okay, let's say the most statistically normal night you can have. You've had a little bit to drink and it's like 9 p.m. for you, and it's just like a regular conversation with someone that you've known, let's call it like 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
What's like the best way that you're looking for them to act? Like questions, statements, stories, like what are...
Like you should both be asking questions back and forth.
It's just like a collaborative thing.
Yeah, like each person should be asking questions. It shouldn't be like I ask a question and then he goes on a rant about himself and like whatever, talks for like 5 minutes and never asks back like, how was your day?
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like
I feel like in my brain, like at least like what I've experienced is the times guys get the best feedback from girls is the rambling thing is like the first. We talked about this when we met, like the first 30 to 90 seconds. Mm-hmm. So like, because someone coming up to you and asking you questions, you're like, why do you care?
Right. Well, they shouldn't be asking questions right out the gate. This is after you've already been like talking for a little while.
Right. So the starting point, just to like map this out, is I feel like I'm going to talk about myself essentially until I get one question.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, she's like curious now. And then I'll like start having a normal conversation.
Okay.
Because if it's like, especially in a chaotic environment, I mean, unless the question is really funny, like there's not much reason to ask like a biographical question in the first minute or two of knowing someone. That just makes no sense.
I guess I more so mean like on a date, like a sit down like restaurant or drinks date. It's a little different.
You don't. It's not an approach, so like you can assume there's already some level of like.
Yeah, you've already agreed to meet and like go out. There's obviously physical interest or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like the questions should start happening by then. Obviously at the bar it's way different. Like
sure.
You need to have something slick to say to get us girls to be willing to talk to you.
Slick is overrated.
Yeah.
Have something to say though.
Just have something.
Something that's unusual or fun. Just different. Slick helps, I guess.
And don't be awkward about it.
Yeah. Well, so I feel like the most awkward thing, and maybe this is on a date too, I think it's for both, is when you say something that is like slick and then you are waiting for like, oh, did you like that? Like the reaction seeking of this.
Yeah.
Like I said my line, like tell me it was good. Not literally, but like they're
like guys are looking for
like
reassurance that what they're saying is right or is
which
cool.
Which ruins it.
No.
Even if it was
You're not going to get that.
Even if it was good, you'll ruin it by doing that.
Yeah.
Like say it and then move on.
Exactly.
Say your thing and then just keep going.
Exactly. That's way more attractive.
I feel like what I'm trying to do is I know you know all of this, but it's all subconscious, so I'm trying to raise it. That was the goal for the podcast.
Okay. I feel like I've said it.
Yeah. No, it's great. Yeah, but ask you questions like what motivates you or why do you like this or what's your favorite this or even just a why question in response to anything. Like what do you do for work and then you say and it's like, oh, why did you pick that?
Right. Just anything. Like
is it really is the bar that low?
You'd be really surprised at like the guys. Maybe this is like guys that I'm talking to off of dating apps specifically who are just like I have to ask all the questions.
That sucks.
And once I have to ask like 2 or 3 questions, I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
It's bad.
It is both. It's funny, like where I'm sitting, I'm both like excited that the bar is so low because like, oh, it's so easy to just be better than that. But at the same time, it's like it sucks for the world.
Yeah.
I go back and forth which one is like.
Well, and that's not where. The bar is really low, honestly.
Yeah, let's raise the bar for all people.
Yeah, exactly.
So you should want everyone to be doing street interview content so that you have to be even better to eclipse them.
Yeah, well...
That's the parallel.
Honestly, I mean, what I'm trying to do is show people what, like, the true, authentic side of dating is in New York from both a boy and a girl perspective.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're getting... I mean, it feels authentic when I like the few that I've watched of you doing that. Do you feel like this is a less authentic setup than just catching someone who's in the middle of their day?
Right.
Yeah.
But this is I mean, we're being genuine.
We are, but I'm saying if someone walked by and we had them like sit down and put like a microphone.
Oh yeah, they'd probably be like.
They would tense up.
Yeah, they'd be really intimidated. That's why I like to do it the way I do it. It's just very like the small little microphones, kind of catch them off guard. Maybe I've done a few too many people that have been drinking too much. I think I need to maybe get some more sober people.
You'll find your Hawk Tuah moment eventually.
Yeah.
The amount of people that are out there just for that, like there's this one guy who I see outside this one bar in Hoboken every weekend, although I haven't seen him in a few months, but in the winter for sure. They would just ask the kinds of questions that would just try to elicit like the most graphic, like absurd answer out of a girl so they could just clip it and make it viral.
That's
like,
so
and
weird.
I went up to them one time, I'm like, you'll find her eventually. Like, and they're like, what? Like Hawk Tuah moment. You're like, that's what you're doing out here, right? And they were like, don't tell anyone, that's what we're up to.
Oh my god,
and there's
crazy.
tons of these, yeah.
Yeah, no.
That's not what you're doing.
That's not what I'm doing. I've actually started going to like the actual restaurants and bars and interviewing the bartenders now to get their side of like what they witness from a dating perspective because they see it all.
Is that like a recent revelation?
Yeah, I actually like just did my first one yesterday.
Okay.
But I'm going to start doing more of those and trying to get from their eyes and ears, like...
That's almost scary. I'm, like, worried.
No, a lot of them
They see everything.
No, a lot of them will disclose a lot of information, but it's just fun to hear from, like, their perspective, funny stories, what they've seen, and then also just kind of giving that restaurant or bar a little notoriety as well.
We tried.
Yeah, we tried to help them out, but they turned us down.
Listen, they really wanted to help.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, they were so sad that they couldn't let us do the podcast over there, so we're across the street instead.
We should see them. We should post and tag them.
Do you want to? Should I angle this so it faces them now?
No,
when we wrap up, we'll walk in there with the cameras as the end.
She'll be like,
Let me just wanted a second.
You need to get permission for this.
Sorry. All right, before we end, is there any like new content format that you're thinking about that you haven't done yet that maybe you don't want to share it, but like interview people on the street, interview the bartenders, what's like, because your goal is to like get as like into it as possible, like let's hear what the authentic experience is like, which is really cool. Like how do you think you could get like more of that?
Yeah, I think like I said, maybe doing some during the day when people are drinking.
Is that what you're going to do right after this? Just walk around and get
no, okay. I'm out. This is enough for today.
This is enough stimulation. Sober seems better, yeah.
Sober, just to get, and for myself as well, because I feel like half the time that I'm doing the interviews, I've been drinking. So,
I was surprised when you told me that. It's like but I guess you're not talking as much, so it's harder to tell.
Yeah. Well, and also like, I mean, I can hold it together.
You have experience. You're 31. You've been practicing being drunk in public.
I know how to drink a couple drinks and be able to hold myself together. No, the newest thing for me is to go to the restaurants and the bars and kind of talk to the bartenders a little more and just kind of get from their perspective, like what they see in their eyes. Like, are they seeing more dates go well? Are they seeing more dates go not so well? How many dates have they seen like get stood up?
Do you have the spots picked out? Like the one you just did, was it like one of like the date spots, or was it just a?
It was kind of random.
Okay. I guess there are bars that are like, if you're in there on a weeknight,
right? Just
every
like,
single table is a date.
Yep.
And like those, I would be even more curious. Like, what are the employees like? What are the waiters? What like they must see they must hear everything.
Yeah.
Like if you're just to name drop one of them, have you been to Deer Irving?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is a waitress's experience of life listening to all the date talk? Because that place, there's nothing else happening in there besides
dates. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so like, and you can, and it's not that loud. Like you can hear what everyone's talking about.
No, I know. There's a handful of places that I have on the list that I want to go to.
I hope I didn't just ruin that one.
No.
We'll cut it out. You'll tell me after.
Yeah. No, I mean like some of them are like date specific places that like Deer Irving that you think of and you're just like automatic date. But some of them are a little bit of a mix of both. So
that feels like
fun.
That feels like a good stopping point. Unless you have any other stuff you want to talk about.
No, I'm good.
You're tired now.
That was a long time.
I'm gonna take out my bathing suit now so I can jump in the puddles. No, this is bathhouse night for sure. It actually. Right.
It stopped raining as soon as we started.
Yeah, for context, we're under this awning because it was raining, and the second the podcast started, it stopped raining, but like we weren't gonna move.
No. This was good. It ended up working out.
Yeah.
And I think they're opening, so they're looking at us weird. And
is it about to be 5?
Well, I don't know. The guy keeps peeking out, looking
at
us.
Let's let them set up. All right.
See ya.
See ya.